الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. We begin with the beautiful name of our beloved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are thankful towards Him, and we are grateful that Allah ta'ala has allowed us to come together for solely His dhikr, His remembrance, so we can take some time out of our busy schedules and turn back to the reality, to the asl, to the haqiqah, even if it is for a limited amount of time. Allah Ta'ala says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, that a person who is grateful, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will increase in His bounties. So we beseech Allah Ta'ala, that Allah Ta'ala allows this time to become a source for redemption, inshaAllah Ta'ala, and make us amongst the zakireen, inshallah, who are able to remember Allah Ta'ala perpetually. Inshallah Ta'ala, the next hour or so, I ask that we turn ourselves to our hearts and our hearts to Allah and try to get rid of any distractions, external or internal, inshallah Ta'ala, and do the azkar with muhabbat, filled with love, so they can have maximum effect. As always, we'll start with what is known as Khatmat-e Khajagan. These are du'as, these are prayers and supplications and ayahs that Mashayikh of this ummah, they used to read in their lives, and they found special effects and special ta'athir and athar in them. So we read them with the same niyat, inshallah ta'ala, that Allah ta'ala brings the ta'athir and athar in our lives as well. After that, there will be a short talk, and then we will engage in silent dhikr, which is known as muraqabah. After which, inshallah, we will end our majlis and pray Isha. Bismillah. أستغفر الله ربي من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الحمد لله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات. اللهم يا كافي المهمات يا كافي المهمات يا كافي المهمات. اللهم يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات. يا دافع. اللهم يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض. اللهم يا رافع الدرجات، يا رافع الدرجات، يا رافع الدرجات. اللهم يا مجيب الدعوات، يا مجيب الدعوات، يا مجيب الدعوات. اللهم يا مسبب الأسباب، يا مسبب الأسباب، يا مسبب الأسباب. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين، يا أرحم الراحمين، يا أرحم الراحمين. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Allah Kareem, whatever was read, Allah, we ask you that you send the rewards of all of this as a gift from us to all the Anbiya Kiram and Mursaleen alayhi salatu wassalam, especially our beloved Hazrat Ahmad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And through him, Ya Allah Kareem, send the reward of this to all the Sahaba Kiram, Rizwanullahi Ajma'een, to all the Ahl Bayt, Izwaj Mutaharat, Ashra Mubashara Khulfa Rashideen, especially Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. And Allah send the reward of this to all the Salihin, all the Shuhada, all the Muhsineen, all the Siddiqeen, and all the Ulama, Sulaha, Mashayikh of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'at. And Allah send the reward of this as a gift from us to the arwah of all the mu'mineen, mu'minat, muslimin, muslimat. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا خفي اللطف أدركني بلطفك الخفي. يا خفي. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا باقي أنت الباقي. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث. يا حي. يا حي يا قيوم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سيدنا محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله ولي الذين آمنوا الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله ولي المؤمنين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. لا إله إلا الله لا إله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وذروا ظاهر الإثم وباطنه سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Insan is a combination of two things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the jasad or the jism or the body of this insan in this dunya. We understand that the development of the insan happens within the womb of our mothers, within the warmth of those wombs, for 9 months before this insan comes into this world. And this jasad, it spends a nominated amount of time in this dunya that we call hayat, our life, before it is taken away. The second thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as part of this insan is our arwah. These are created by the hukam, by the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kun fayakun, and they exist in alam arwah, in the realm of the souls. And when our life begins in this dunya, this ruh is actually put within the jasad, within the jism. And this companionship between the ruh and the jism is what we call hayat of a person. As soon as the ruh is taken away, this concept or this event is called maut, and now the jism or the jasad is called the mayyat, a dead body, because the asal of that insan, which is the ruh, has been taken away. Now, we understand and we are more familiar with the body as it exists. We understand what its needs are, what its requirements are. And we spend day and night fulfilling those needs and requirements. We understand what kind of food it wants, it needs, how much water to give it, how much rest to give it, with the hope that it works in an optimal way. And not only do we worry about its requirements, we also try to fulfill its desires as well. Fulfill the desires of the body, of the badan. In reality, we are fulfilling the desires of the nafs that exists within the badan. So the needs and requirements of jism are very different, but we are aware of them. And we are also aware that if we stop feeding it, giving it nourishment, taking care of it, it is going to degrade, deteriorate, and it can also die. Okay? Similarly, the ruh that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put within us, within this jasam, this jasad, also has its needs. It also needs to be taken care of. And if you think about it, we need to take care of our ruh even more than we take care of our jism. We have to take care of both of them. But the ruh is the maqam of our iman. The ruh is the maqam of ma'arifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so if we stop taking care of it, giving it nourishment, what is the nourishment of the ruh? It is no doubt the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dhikr that provides us with the anwarat, with the tajalliyat, so the ruh remains fresh, it remains attentive towards the asal, towards its source, towards the reality, towards the haqq, towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now our Mashaykh tell us that when this ruh is put within this body, due to the friendship of the jism and due to the friendship of the nafs, it starts to fall asleep. It starts to become heedless. It starts to forget. What does it forget? It forgets the promise that it made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the Quran tells us, Alastu bi rabbikum, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away all the curtains and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all his tajalliyat asked this question that am I not your Rabb, your nourisher, your sustainer? And every ruh answered to it, قالوا بلى وشهدنا. Of course, there is no doubt. وشهدنا, and we bear witness to this fact, to this reality, that you are our Rabb. So the ruh came with this knowledge. It's not that it doesn't have this knowledge. The ruh was sent down in this body with this knowledge. However, due to the friendship of the body to the jism, as well as the nafs, which is an embodiment of desires, hawa, it starts to forget. And it starts to become thaqif. There's a word called thaqif. Ruh is supposed to be latif. Latif means very subtle, very light. Thaqif means something very heavy, very dense. And so the ruh also starts to become dense, forgetful, hardened, rusted, darkened, because of the friendship of the nafs and the jism. And so what we try to do as part of the mihnat, the effort, the striving of tazkiyah and tasfiyah, is to really activate and to awaken the ruh through the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this is what you were supposed to be doing, gaining ma'arifah in this limited time, 50, 60 years that we're here, that you were supposed to be connected, have this ta'alluq with Allah, have this raja'ah, ruju with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have this inaba, this inclination towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have this dhikr, have this remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so much so that أن تعبد الله كأنك ترى, that you were always in this state of ubudiyah in which you feel as if you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning always in this presence of divine. However, the world itself is something that is very attractive. It is very attractive to the nafs. And so what happens is that the ruh follows and we find ourselves in the state that we are in. Unable to remember, easy to forget, getting sidetracked, getting distracted. This in tasawwuf, in spirituality, they call tafarruqa, that we are in a state of constant distraction. It's so difficult to remember Allah Ta'ala, so difficult. The tragedy is that we are unable to remember Allah Ta'ala even in the states of spiritual ascension, which is our salah. Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam had this mi'raj, this physical ascension, in which he was gifted this gift of salah, so all the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam can experience spiritual ascension. As-salatu mi'rajul mu'min. That salah is the mi'raj, this ascension of a mu'min. The haqaiq of salah, if we understood, we would have made dua that, Ya Allah Kareem, initially you had sent down 50 salah. Allah give us permission so we can pray 50 salah every single day, if we understood the haqaiq of it. But because we are unfamiliar, we are ghafil, we do not understand, lack the ma'arifah, meaning the ruh is asleep, even 5 salah becomes a burden for us. Any extra sunan become a burden for us. Any extra nawafil become a burden for us. How many days do we spend without praying tahajjud, ishraq, jasht, awabin? And yet, look at how deceiving the nafs is. It still tells us that we are on the path of wilayah, that we are on the path of becoming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the heart, the ruh, because of the thaqafat, because of the bad friendship, because of the suhbat of the nafs, it has lost that spark. It has lost what is known as passion for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has lost the yearning and thirst for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so deen becomes a routine. We do things out of routine, not because we want to do them, not because we consider them to be a source of this closeness and nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we do these things because we just have to do these things, and we check mark these things. So I prayed this, I did this zikr, I read this Quran, etc., etc., etc. So it's a great sign of a heart, of a ruh that has lost its passion. And such a person remains very much indulged in the dunya. Because what is dunya? Dunya is ghayrullah, everything but Allah subhanahu. We could be sitting in a masjid, we could be sitting in a maktab, we could be sitting in a madrasa, we could be sitting in any place of worship, and we could still be in dunya. All we need to do is look within ourselves. If the heart is unconnected, if the heart is in tafarqa, distraction, then that's dunya. The real men, according to the Quran, are those who indulge in trade and commerce, but they are still in the state of dhikr of Allah. They do not forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers, it is important that as an insan, we take a step back and we look at the hal and ahwal. Of course, we look at the state of our ahwal of our physical self every day. We look at ourselves in the mirror. But now it's time that we show this mirror to our ruh as well. This, according to Hazrat Mujaddid Sahib, Mujaddid al-Thani rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, this concept is that you khud bini, that you look at your own self. That you look at your own self. At your own faults. Just like if we feel that, our beards are not kept properly, right away we'll try to fix them. Similarly, we need to show this mirror to ourselves. So what is it that is wrong with our spiritual state? And then take steps to rectify it. It's very ajeeb. The last few years, the world went through this pandemic. And it caused a lot of concern and fear amongst everyone, including the Muslimin. Now that we are able to do some retrospection, we were afraid of a small virus. Why? That we may get infected by it and it may cause us physical death. Something that we know is bound to happen one day very soon. But the amount of fear and the behavioral changes, even in Muslims, that it caused, it's something that we need to learn some lessons from. We are so worried about our physical self that we refuse to touch each other, say salam to each other, stand next to each other in salah, so on and so forth. This is how much worried we are about our physical selves. Now, we should at least be concerned about our arwah, at least the same. If there is a virus, coronavirus out there that may infect us, isn't there our virus of guna and sins and itham and disobedience that we have to protect ourselves from? If we take care of ourselves, covering our mouths and using sanitizers, etc., should we not take efforts to control what goes within our hearts, control our gazes, control our thoughts, control our hands, control our feet? Because physical pain, physical illness and sickness, it can come, it can go, it can even cause physical death. But the worst is if we are inflicted with spiritual diseases. Because a person who is inflicted by spiritual diseases, A, a lot of times we don't even know that we have them. B, even if you find out that we have them, not a lot of people will take steps to rectify them because they've normalized it. They've normalized, well, this is the normal state of being. If I can't control my gaze, my eyes, well, this is the normal way that it is. If I can't control my tongue, well, that's how it is. If I'm lying, if I'm backbiting, if I am spreading rumors, that's how it is. So we normalize those things, not knowing that spiritual diseases take us away from the grace and rahmat of Allah subhanahu, from the nearness, from the ta'alluq of Allah. So, tawbah and istighfar and all of that we do to try to rectify it, that is the first step. That we have entered into this hospital where we need to kind of get the ilaj, get the cure of the diseases. And if a person dies without curing them, we all know that the cure will take place in the punishment of the qabr. The cure will take place on the day of Hashr. The cure will take place in Jahannam. And any action that goes against the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the way of our Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that is what is creating a dark spot on our ruh. We know from narrations. But we are so used to a ruh that is so thaqif that it doesn't even matter to us. Look at how latif Rasulullah Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam's ruh was. It is narrated in Nisa'i that one day Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was praying Fajr and he was reading Surah Rum. And once he was done, he turned back and he said, what has happened to people that they come and join our prayers without doing proper wudu, that it affects everybody's salah. So many lessons here. But one is that look at how latif the ruh of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, that somebody else's amal. Rasulullah's wudu was perfect. Most Sahaba Kram did it right. But for our teaching, one of the Sahabi, his wudu was not proper. So it affected the state and condition and the hal of the prayers of everybody present. And our beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam noticed it. There are so many ahadith like that, and inshallah we'll go over them, that talk about this state of being. And today, forget what other people's athar is on us. Our own state is so, it's so tragic that it doesn't have any effect on us. Whether we do wudu properly or not do wudu properly, whether we're present in the namaz, whether we're not present in the namaz. This shows the ahwal, the hal that Rasulullah sallam was in, and the Sahaba Kram. This was also narrated about Hazrat Usman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala. One time he's sitting, and another person came, and the Hazrat Usman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala mentioned, what has happened to people that they walk into our gathering and zina is dripping from their eyes, meaning they cannot control their gaze when they're outside. This person was shocked. He asked that, Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, Usman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala anhu, are the doors of revelation still open? And he said, no, this is not revelation, but this is the mukashifa, or this is the state of the heart. Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min. This is the firasat of a mu'min. That if a person's ruh is latif enough, فَإِنَّهُ يَنْزُرُ بِنُورِ اللَّهِ, they see with the light of Allah. So, mentioning all of this is that this is the state of a healthy soul, a healthy ruh, that has taken the effort, made the effort to clean it and cleanse it of all the diseases and ailments that are present. And the state of a disease, well, I don't need to explain anything, because we are mostly suffering from it. When a person suffers from shahwa, extensive lusting in the heart, these are all states of the heart. Lusting of the heart, and ghayz and ghadab in the heart, excessive anger, excessive wrath, excessive greed, hirs, bukhl, being miserly, hasad, jealousy. When a person feels that about another person, this jealousy, this is a state of heart. Ujab, despite not doing anything, we love ourselves. It's so ajib. It's so ajib. As a professor, if I see somebody who doesn't know anything in the class but is still very confident that they're good students, that is the state of us as a Muslim. That despite not doing what we're supposed to be doing, with this ghafla and everything, we are in a state of love with ourselves and kibr and takabbur. And when it comes to others, there's always this malice and this negativity towards others. So it's not a good state to be in. It's not a good state to be in. Because Allah Ta'ala demands that we cleanse ourselves before He will enter us into Jannah. And so this is really why we are here. We come to the gatherings of mashayikh, we come to the suhbah, only so we can make the effort. We can make the effort, just like in dunya, physical diseases require that you go to a physical doctor, to the clinic, to the hospital, take medicine, discuss your hal with them. Na'udzubillah, if you have cancer, you get the ilaj, get the cure. You depend on the doctor completely. You trust the doctor, and the doctor takes care of you. Similarly, when we are suffering from spiritual ailments that we are suffering from, it is incumbent upon us that we go to doctors who are experts in human psychology, human spirituality, that they're able to give you medicine that you're able to take. It's not just you take the medicine and not implement it. No, you have to use it. And you stay in touch, and you trust them, and you depend, and you love them, and you have respect for them, and you honor them. It's aqidat. I was in Pakistan recently, and I was with one of the mashayikh, mashallah, and he said something very interesting that has stayed with me. He said that even if there is no muhabbat is key for the faiz to transfer. Even if a person's heart is hardened, so the muhabbat, that ishq is not there, the least is that aqidat has to be there. Aqidat is devotion. Aqidat is having a sense of sacredness, or sense of honor, and sense of adab. The least should be that a person should have that. If a person doesn't have that, then there's no way they will benefit from their mashayikh. So the higher state is in a state of muhabbat. As is taught by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbak wa hubba man yuhibbak. The love of those who love you. That is the higher state. But if a person, because nowadays our aql is more dominant, and when the aql is dominant, feeling and emotion of the heart becomes recessive, they become passive. And so let's say if a person is unable to feel that devotion, that that love, that unfettered kind of love and connection, well, at least that aqidat should be there. So muhabbat and aqidat, two states, the less of which is aqidat, that is necessary for a person to benefit. Okay? So inshallah ta'ala, we come to these majalis with only that niyyah, that inshallah ta'ala I want to rectify the state of my heart, of my ruh. Just like I take care of my jism, I'm going to take care of my ruh. Just like I go to doctor when I feel sick, because I'm spiritually sick, I will go to my shaykh. And just like I take medicine day in and day out, I will also take medicine of the ruh. Dhikrullahi shifa'ul qulub. The zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the shifa. Is the shifa of our dead hearts. So that is the niyat, inshallah ta'ala, we come here. And the time you spend here, this is not a place where you have discussions and talk and chat, and you can do that outside. Again, having this sacredness towards the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a musalla. So we come here with a soberness and seriousness and understand the mizaj of Naqshbandiya Mujaddidiyya, which is this sense of stillness, being in a state of huzuri qalb, being in a state of presence with Allah Ta'ala, vigilance of Allah Ta'ala. So how tragic is it that we come to the Khanaqahs, and even in the Khanaqahs we are unable to control our tongues and we're unable to stop chit-chatting. So inshallah Ta'ala, we make dua to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala allows us to maximize the benefit we get from these majalis, which Rasulullah mentioned as pastures of Jannah. May Allah Ta'ala make it a pasture of Jannah for us. Inshallah Ta'ala, from now till Ramadan, we will try to meet every week. And my hope is that we will cover spiritual ailments that we suffer from. And inshallah ta'ala, look at some of the remedies that different turuq have prescribed for these things, inshallah ta'ala, and with the hope that Allah ta'ala allows us to enter Ramadan in a state of purity, in a state of tazkiyah and tasfiyah. May Allah ta'ala accept us. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana. And alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah ta'ala, for a few minutes, we will close our eyes and bow our heads in humility and humbleness. Inshallah ta'ala, let go of all the thoughts. Don't let any thoughts come in or go out. Negate everything and everyone in this dunya. Everything and everyone in this dunya, which is ghayrullah. Affirm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our mahbub, our beloved, our Rabb, who has all the kamalat and sifat and is free from any defects. And make this niyyah that tajalliyat and anwarat and fuyuzat are coming down and they are entering the part of our ruh called qalb, 2 fingers below our left chest. And our qalb is absorbing those tajalliyat and anwarat. And all the filth and darkness and rust and hardness is dissipating and going into the earth. And feel that your qalb is calling out to your beloved. Feel that your qalb is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحان ربي على الوهاب. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما واجعلنا للمتقين إماما واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث. يا حنان يا منان ذو الجلال والإكرام. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. رب زدني علما رب زدني علما رب زدني علما. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من غضبك ومن سخطك ومن النار. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك. اللهم إنا نسألك منك. اللهم إنا نسألك منك. اللهم إنا نسألك منك. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم